Just let your soul glow.
Welcome to the Soul Shift Sessions podcast, where we dive deep into transformative conversations that empower you to elevate your mindset, break through limitations, and create the life you truly desire.
Hosted by Coach Sapphire Star and Coach Kyle McLeod, this podcast is your go-to source for actionable insights, inspiring stories, and expert advice on personal growth, financial freedom, and living with purpose.
Each episode is designed to help you shift your mindset, overcome obstacles, and embrace a life of abundance and fulfillment. Whether you're looking to transform your relationship with money, enhance your well-being, or unlock your full potential, the Soul Shift Sessions will guide you on your journey.
Romy Cage is a leader of a learning and development department for an IT bootcamp company. She oversees all trainings and projects for the company. She builds out training programs and also looks at current processes and trainings and assess and analyze how to improve those processes. She's also an inspiring speaker, looking to share her story and the impact that she has on the lives of others. So thank you very much, Ms. Romy Cage, for joining us. And
welcome to another episode of Soul Shift Session Podcast, where we have deep, transformative conversations to help you transform your mind to transform your life. I am your favorite freedom and financial life coach, Coach Sapphire Star. And of course, I have with me my favorite co-host, Coach
Kyle McLeod.
And we're here with another episode, and we have a special treat and special guest for you. And we're super excited for the conversation that we're going to have today, especially for the top of the year. Of course, if you want to be a part of the Soul Shift Session tribe, please go check out our website at www.soulshiftsessions.com and join us. Coach Kyle, what we talking about today?
We are talking about balance. Balance in your life, balance in the relationships that you have, balance in your career.
That part.
That part, right?
Yes.
As I am like sharing with you in the green room how I started my day at 10 and it didn't finish till 7 at night, right? Like I had enough time to like scoff down some food and go to sleep.
Wow.
Because I was done. And
yeah,
what I think is interesting about this topic is there's a level of focus that I think we all have to apply to like our daily things. And I think some of us are not designed to have like focus for like that long a period of time.
Especially in the social media era and these quick clips and quick seconds. I think that has conditioned and trained us to expect things to come and go very quickly and it to be effective and efficient in a very short period of time. And that's not how life.
How life is?
Yeah, think about it. People can't even sit through a movie anymore. I mean, parents are now saying like, just sit through this movie, please. Before it's like read a book, go play outside. Now it's like, can you just sit through this movie? Because it's the constant, that quick fix,
Yes.
It's so true. It's so true.
And I also would argue that social media lends itself to the people who have attention deficit issues, right? Because just like I might be watching that movie, Romy, like a thought may come up. And now I got to go like, my phone because I got to go down this rabbit hole with whatever that thought was in the first place. But it
could be as simple as quoted actor. Who's actor? I've never seen this person before. It's on Google. Yeah.
IMDb.
I have a question for you guys. Is balance something that is truly attainable, or is this elusive thing, or is it like a dangling carrot that's something that we're always chasing. How do you guys feel about that?
All right, so I'm going to offer up that you talk about goals a lot. And I think that if we have a daily goal of looking for what balance looks like and evaluating it throughout the day, almost like a consistent approach. If you're approaching balance consistently, I'm not saying you'll ever achieve it, but what you're able to accomplish in the trying to do it may be way more relaxing and feel like you've reached a level of balance than if you're just haphazardly going about the day. Romy, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty. You said goal. For me, it's setting the intention, which is the same, right?
Yeah.
So it's just knowing what, like you said, what you want out of your day. But it really, I do believe in balance. It's something that I struggled with, a few years ago. That was me. The balance was, it was all work and then very little play, very little family time, very little anything time, and that was like my biggest. Every time I talk to people, they're like, "Oh, you're just too driven," and I was like, "Too driven? Like really? Like how can you be too driven?" I still don't.
How long
know
that even means?
how-
I know what not driven enough means.
And they're like, maybe you're not driven enough.
I was like, "Tell me more about yourself, please." Right? So, but But I did struggle with I'm the type of person, you give me something, I'm on it. I got it. I don't, like if it means I have to sacrifice myself, I was gonna do it, And
Yeah.
so, and then I realized I'm like, wait a second, what about me? Like I'm losing myself in this too. So it's almost to the point where I have to force myself at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock to be like done, And
Yeah.
even then I've still worked a little bit more than I should have. And
Absolutely.
I have to really, really force myself. So I do believe it can happen. To Sarah's question, I do believe it can happen. You really have to be very intentional with it. You do. You absolutely do.
Yes, and it's so interesting you said intentional because that was the word that I thought of when I was thinking about balance, but also to like a goal without a plan is a wish. That's my quote for the day. Put that in there early. Put that in there early. And so having the goals like you talked about, Kyle, coupled with intention, with action, I
Yeah.
feel like that's the formula to having true success and balance in your life. And also, too, I'll add another element to that. And what has helped me because when I was a domestic, when I say domestic, I mean married with 2.5 kids, the house, the picket fence, the dog. That's what I mean by domestic.
Hilarious stuff. Make it sound like it was like it's a species.
I was. And when I was a domestic was the most difficult thing, especially as a woman, because we tend to be the glue for everything and everyone. And we can dish out what everyone else needs, but it causes imbalance within ourselves and for ourselves. And for me, during that time of my life, the most crucial thing for me was to establish what I call me time or self-care. Because I used to watch Oprah a long time ago. You don't even know what the Oprah show is now. But I used to watch the Oprah show, and she made a very good point about setting time out for yourself. It doesn't matter if it's 30 minutes, if it's an hour, if it's an entire day. It's very important to set some time out for yourself to hear your thoughts, to be very clear about what your intentions are and what your goals are. And I will say my me time as a domestic, it used to be one day, it used to be Fridays, a couple of hours to tell my kids, my husband, listen, don't talk to me, don't look at me, don't say nothing to me. I would go, and it was in the bathroom with the in a bubble bath. That's how my me time originated. And through the years, fast forward, it's now, and it's an entire experience for me. It's an entire day where I just do something just for me. And so to kind of bring that back all around is alignment. Now in my life, what makes it simpler for me to achieve balance is to have people, places, and things align with my vision and goals, that it just makes it so much easier because everybody around me, the things that are working with me are working in alignment. So on the outside looking in, you may be like, man, she's doing a lot. No. And everything that I'm doing is actually aligned, and it makes my life simpler, actually.
My
I
goodness, you said the word alignment, and I want to say this. So for New Year's Eve, there was like a women's circle, if you will, and we got together and got to reflect on like the year and like our intention for this year, right? And one of the ladies had said that her thing was saying no more, or I'm sorry, what was it? Yeah, she was saying no more, putting myself first, saying no more. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take it to the next step and say, for me, it's more about saying yes to the right people, right? To the right things. So you don't have to always say no. How does that make you feel? Does that align with the person that you are and the person that you want to be? And if it doesn't serve you, then yes, say no. And so I think we get so stuck on like, we can't do things, right? But Sapphire brings up a good point. It's really about the alignment piece and
yes.
doing things that really feel good to you. I now I just say, what am I saying yes to? And because
Yes.
for me, that's the more important thing is is it in alignment with me? And that's and whether it's a TV show or the person or an activity, is it in alignment with me? And so I love that you said the word alignment. That's so powerful. It's so good. So good.
I
Yes.
love that you say yes, because
Yes.
there is this aspect of people say, like, if I ask you, what do you want? A lot of people will lean into what they don't want. They'll say the things that they don't want and think that that's them saying what they do want. Right. So I love the fact that you're like, what am I going to say yes to? Because if I'm saying yes to the things that only are in alignment with me, I'm saying no to the other stuff anyway.
By
Yeah.
default.
Yeah. By default, right.
Yeah, by default. Absolutely. And one of my New Year's solutions, people say resolution, my New Year's solution is to release, and you spoke about this, Romy, releasing things that no longer serve me. I have a tendency to hold on to things because I'm a fixer. I'm a solution-oriented person. And so I have a tendency to just jump in and start fixing things and doing things, and sometimes unsolicited. And I told myself this is, and granted, I am willing and open to try things and see how things work. And it doesn't necessarily have to immediately work for me, but I need to be more intentional about releasing the things and people that no longer serve me. And not that it's a bad thing, it's just not aligned.
Right.
Let me ask you this, Sapphire. That's beautiful, and I love that. I love that for you. I love that for everyone, right? And so, especially women. Sorry, Kyle, but I think because we tend to be the ones like Sapphire said, the glue, right? Always trying to, where can we help people and sifting? Where does that come for? Because we all have our story, right? So where does that come for you, Sapphire? Where does that belief or that thought that I have to help everyone? I want to say, where does that come for you?
Yeah, it's definitely a trauma response to people pleasing and making sure everyone is happy because I don't want there to be strife. And, I grew up in a very abusive, toxic household. And I would see that in my mind, even as a young kid, I would be like, man, what could I do so people aren't arguing and they're not fighting? And that was my brain. And I think that I was wired to do that. And I believe that also comes, and not necessarily in a negative sense, because it can be a trauma response in a negative sense, but in the sense of I'm a very compassionate person. I'm an empath. I don't like to see people hurting because it hurts me. And so for me, in my healing journey, is being able to identify, okay, what is happening here? Why am I doing it? I can care, but I don't have to carry. and figuring out how to navigate these things as an empath and as a compassionate person without it to my detriment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
How how do you, because we talk about us women, that's how we always want to fit. So when you see things like that, what's your initial response? What, at being
Oh, I
a man?
am.
Oh,
Yeah, I would love the
There
male
is.
perspective. Men have to
There is.
juggle stuff too.
right,
So
right.
you see
And
how you talked about how you were a fixer, right? Well, for myself, and I'm thinking about one particular friend of mine in particular, right? We always feel like we have to throw on this superhero cape and swoosh in and save the day. It's almost like we're bred that way, except that somewhere along the way, I've opted for really only being like the ones that I really care about. Like I don't feel this urge to swoop in and save the day for everybody, but I do for the ones that I care about. Now, as far as my friend goes, he's a swooper in, like there's no discrimination. Right.
Captain Save.
Right. And so if he is if this were the Star Wars universe, he would be closer to a Jedi. I would be closer to a mercenary.
okay, tell us more. Tell us more about that.
More like Han Solo, right? Like Han Solo was about his people, but he was also about having a good time. And he was
Yeah.
also about freedom, right? Like he didn't want to be constrained by anything, but he would only risk his neck for the ones that he loved. That's it. Everybody else is like, if I'm risking my neck, I gotta get paid. I get my neck. But the ones he loved, he did that freely. Whereas my friend, he is more into the he grew up in superhero culture, as far as comic book culture. So when he saw Black Panther for the very first time at 6 years old, he immediately identified with that character because he was and he was Black and he could do these amazing things, right? And so he's identified with that character to this very day, and he's pushing 50. So with that, those principles apply. Like there's nothing in those comic books that talk about balance for yourself. It's only about giving of self. That's it. For the greater cause at the expense of your own. So if you grew up like that type and taking on those principles, he has this tendency to want to swoop in and save the day because he kind of was bred that way by the character that he believes so much in. So that's why I say he's more like the Jedi side. I'm more like the mercenary side.
Well, do you feel like even being the mercenary, do you feel like you still need to have balance within that, even with the ones you love? Because sometimes they'll be the ones. I'm just saying.
Yeah. So yes.
Those are the ones that can stretch us and cause us the most.
Yes. So real life lessons are the ones that taught me that you have to, just because you're family does not mean that anyone is entitled to anything.
Oh,
right? And I'm going to mess this up, but people talk about blood being thicker than water. And the thing is that when that particular phrase was coined, it was talking about a covenant, right? A blood covenant is thicker than the water that's in the womb. So therefore, just because we're related biologically, who I choose to be in relationship with, who I choose to be in covenant with, those are the ones that will get my attention. And we're only choosing to be in covenant with the ones that are in alignment with who we are.
yeah. That makes me think of a quote that I heard. It was like, just because we're blood doesn't mean we're related.
Doesn't mean we're related.
Doesn't mean we're related. Yeah.
there's very few requests that Star can make of me that I would not be like, I got you. I mean, I might have to ask questions if we got to
Not
take
like
somebody.
no recording, just like there's nothing I wouldn't do for her.
I'm just saying, like, if I got to take somebody out, like, I might have a few questions about why we're doing this, right? And if the reasons line up with who I am, then hey,
We ride together, we die together.
right? So,
Soul shift sessions for life. Romy is like, what's going on here? Romy
I'm like,
just
what did I get myself into?
this is the Justice League. You're in it. This is the Justice League, and we're in it together. And we're fighters, and we're Avengers, and we're gonna stand up for what's right, and we're gonna share our story. We're gonna come in, but we're gonna do it with grace, and we're gonna do it with balance and alignment.
Yeah.
That's
I'm gonna do all
that
those
is
things.
right.
All those things. But you rounded that off so fast.
What's the green tea? You know, I get litty. Green tea makes me litty. So
Was in green tea. That's what I wanted.
just
Green tea.
it's just bad bitch tea. That's it.
Oh, okay. I want some of that.
Yes, coming soon. I'll see you a link soon. Yes,
All
bad
right.
bitch tea. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we're focused. Okay. So let's talk about how we can specifically apply these things to, because that's the title of the show, right? Love, life, and career. And I
Yeah.
feel like we talked a little bit about relationships, but how can we bring this in when it comes to our love life specifically,
Yeah.
and also into our careers, our work, what we do for a living, small businesses, entrepreneurs, etc.
Which one you want, Romy? You want career? Or you want love life? You take
You
one,
know,
I'll
it's
take the
interesting
other.
if you're, I don't, well, I'm more inclined to do the career because I feel like that's like my love. So, but you know, I just want to say something before we talk, we talk about love, right? For me, I've been learning that love is not, or for me, my focus has been loving myself, you know, and so the balance is just loving myself, because I always, you know, I always thought like love, like who am I gonna love? But I'm like, why am I putting out all this love for other people and other things? I have to start here within, you know. So, and you can't give anyone anything you don't have anyway, right? So I think the real focus for me is just loving myself. So it's not even about the relationships with, you know, significant others or family and or friends. It's more about just loving myself because like I just said, you can't give others something you don't have. So I think my strong intention for this year is just loving myself, and everything else will kind of fall into place. And then that's where we talk about the alignment comes into place too, because if you're loving yourself and you feel good within yourself, then everything else will align as well. So I just wanted to say that first. So if you're having me choose, Kyle, I'm going to go with career because that's, I tend to love that. Love others. Oh,
Well,
so start. Or
I
do you want to go?
yeah, I want you to go ahead and lean into that, and then I'm gonna do the love because you sparked a thought. So I had to bring up a quote for the thought that you sparked. So you go first, I'll go second. Career.
Okay. So so career. What is it that you all want to know in terms of the direction that we want to move into? Are we talking about the balance within the career then?
Yes.
So when we talked about balance originally, that was like the first thing that came to mind was career. You know, although there's other things that we need to balance in our lives, the first thing was career. So I guess that says a lot about of what the forefront, what's most important to me, right, is the career. And that's why I had to be very intentional with the balance piece within the career, because I do love what I do. Is there more for me? Absolutely. I always believe there's more for all of us, right? But I am fortunate to have a career that I really, truly love. although again, I always feel like there's more for me, it doesn't mean that I'm unhappy where I am right now. So for me, the balance is, I have a team of trainers, and my focus with them is balance for them. And so sometimes it ends up where I lose myself, and that's where I have to really, dig deep and really remind myself that I have to be balanced as well so I can be a good leader. But really it's setting the standard for my team, but really having that strong focus of, you need your balance too. You need your family time, because for me, if you don't have the right balance, I'm not going to get productivity from my people. I'm not
Yeah.
going to get engagement from my people. They're not going to be happy. And when your people aren't happy, the work is going to show out in itself, So that's
Yeah,
kind of what.
that was beautiful. And I would like to piggyback on that. As a entrepreneur, as a businesswoman, what you said was doing what you love. I think that is so key. And not everyone has the blessing to be able to do that. Some people are just working
Yeah.
jobs that they don't necessarily like or
Yeah.
love because they have to. And that's why I love being a financial life coach, because I can help people in terms of finding that financial freedom to be able to say, you know what, if I don't want to work a job, a toxic job, or work a career I don't like because bills, I can have the freedom to fire my boss and do what I'm truly passionate about, and also being able to have the time freedom to be able to do that. And the thing is, I absolutely love what I do. Finding the passion, and that is, and also being passionate, but also prioritizing what is important. My mentor used to say, keep the main thing, because I am easily distracted. So
Yeah.
in my, as an entrepreneur, it's very important that I prioritize what's important, and I focus on those things in my business to help me grow and scale my business, especially a woman that has multiple business, financial life coach. I'm a real estate investor. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm an author. It's important to find balance in all that, but it's because these things are obviously they're aligned, but also I'm passionate about it, and I keep the main thing the main thing.
Awesome.
A question for you, Sapphire, because you mentioned pretty much what don't you do, right, at this point, right? So when you're doing all these things, because I'm sure you're doing so many things, within the same day, right? And so, or the same week, right? How do you feel at the end of the day? How do you feel when you're done with all these things? Because it sounds like a packed day. It doesn't sound like, oh, I just worked an hour. It might be from the moment you wake up till the moment it's time for bed. How do you feel at the end of the day with like a busy, busy day like that?
Oh, actually, it's contrary to, because that's not my day. Uh, because of financial freedom, because of time freedom, and because I'm the boss, I set my schedule, and I work whenever, wherever. And so, but because I am a hard worker, I'm going to do the work. But I set my schedule out, and it is important to have, especially because I do a lot. The key is alignment. A lot of these things just overlapped, right? If I'm doing one thing, this naturally affects and impacts the other things, so it overlaps. But it is having a schedule, being intentional, and knowing, planning out what I want to do, and also what the goal is for me. And so, creating boundaries with balance and alignment, you must have boundaries. And I have boundaries for myself because I am passionate about what I do. I can't do it from the time I wake up to the time I go to bed. But it's important for me to set boundaries. I have a work schedule that I adhere to. And sometimes I go off and I work all day. And sometimes I'm like, I'm not working today. Like me time Fridays, I do not work. I that's time set aside for myself. So creating those boundaries, but also creating things within itself to be able to create that in my life, because I love freedom, and I'm not going to be bound by anything or anyone, not even self-imposed. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow myself to do that. So I have the freedom to work whenever, wherever, hence the title of my book.
You know, First of all, I love everything you said, Star. But here's some things that Star is leaving out. Okay. She makes things look so effortless when she's doing things. Okay. Like if you hear what she does on paper, it's like what you said, Romy, it's a lot. But the
I
way
know.
she
No, I
operates,
know.
she operates with such an alignment that it really does come across like she's doing these things effortlessly. And I'd like to point your attention to the good Bible, where it talks about the parable of the talents, right? Some people are given one, some people given three, some people given five.
It's called organized chaos.
She got five, okay? She got 5 because she can handle the 5 counts. And what I'm saying is that with all the freedom and financial freedom that Star has experienced, there's a way that she operates that not everybody can operate at that level. What's a natural level for her might be overwhelming for somebody else, but she does.
I believe people can do whatever they put their mind to. Like if that is what you want to do, because
Yeah.
one thing about it that these things that I do it doesn't just like I wake up and it happens. I have to be, again, boundaries. I have to be very intentional. I have to have things and people in my life that are aligned. And if it's not, then it needs to move out the way because these things are very much achievable. I'm not no superhuman, right? These are things that I've learned
But you
just
were
from
given
others
5.
and mentors and things like everything that I do and achieve in my life. I believe wholeheartedly in this version of who you are, you can achieve and create those things within the frame of who you are and what you would like to see happen for your life. It's really a mindset.
It does come to a place where it might invite comparison. And this is the thing, this is the thief of joy.
Absolutely.
Because the way Sapphire Star accomplishes what she accomplishes may not necessarily be the exact blueprint for someone else at that particular level.
Time in their
It's like,
life.
yeah, it's like I still want to be financially free and I want to be able to do the things that Star does not necessarily mean I have to do it the exact way that Star did it because you may not be able to handle
Yeah.
that
And
level of
also,
effort.
yeah, you can't compare your chapter 1 to
My
somebody's
chapter.
chapter 10.
Yeah.
Because what you don't see is the seed that was planted. What you don't see, this journey I've been on for the past 15 years. I didn't just wake up and be like 15 years of up and down. And I've been through a lot. So what you see now is the fruit of the tree.
Yeah.
But you don't see the toiling, the weeds, the storms that came in and almost took me out. You don't see that. And there's really no way to like present that because the thing about healing and evolving, you grow and old fruit go away and new fruit come in, you know?
Right.
But it's very important to know that it's a journey, it's a process, and you have the ability to be able to navigate those things. If that's the desire that you want, you plant the seed and you make it happen. But it's not overnight. It 15 years. And that's just this chapter in my life. We're not even talking about the chapter before. We're not even talking about the teen mom chapter. We're not talking about the domestic chapter. We're not talking about the career chapter working as a clinical scientist for 23 years before I became an entrepreneur, before I started traveling the world. Like there's many chapters of this book that you don't see. And many things I've been through. Oh God, like I've been through a lot. I've been through a lot.
This is chapter 20, you know.
Chapter 20.
10 through 19 was.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was the
I want people to see my light as something they can be guided by or something they can be inspired by, to know that if somebody like her, this little brown girl from the projects of Savannah, Georgia, who was a teen mom, who grew up in poverty, that, come from some toxic household, if she can do it, I can do it too. That's really what I really want people to see and feel when they hear my story.
And whatever it is that they want to do, right? Because you're successful in what you do. And one thing that really stuck out when you were speaking, Star, was when you said, you just have to have the right mindset, right? Star's doing all these things, but this is an alignment of what she wants to do. So
Absolutely.
yeah, she's totally right. If you have the right mindset and if it feels good, keep doing it.
Keep
Keep
doing
doing it.
that.
You can do 100 things in one day if it feels good to you. There's times, even like for me with like hanging out with people, I can hang out with certain people from the moment I wake up till midnight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Mind you, I go to sleep at 9. All right. And feel energized. And then I can hang out with one person after an hour and be like, oh my goodness,
I'm
don't
so
talk to
drained.
me. Right. And that's even with work stuff, right? Like, I'm sure that when you're doing certain things, you are just in it. And next thing you're like,
love it.
"Holy, I forgot to eat."
Yeah, I love
I never believed in that when people were like, I'm like, how do you forget to eat? Like, really? Like, your stomach's screaming at you and you forgot to eat. I've had those moments like, that's what that is. I'm like, you're just so in it and you're so immersed,
Yep.
but it
Yeah.
feels good to you. And that's why when you said the mindset thing, I'm like, she's so right, because I mean, mindset's everything, right? But if it feels good to you, you can do 100 things. And then on days where you're like, I'm not gonna do anything, because doing nothing feels good to me today, and that is
Oh,
part of the alignment, and that's part of the
Choices.
that's part of the
yeah.
growth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Kyle, I
So,
think you got love.
are we going? Oh, feel like we're
Oh,
going
yeah, right.
here. Are we coming back? Okay, we're coming back. All right. So, the one thing that I found was really great about Brene Brown was that she created like this definition of love, right? And it was extremely insightful because I think it's something that we probably you all may have never put words to what that means before. So let's start with the quote, and then I will. And keep in mind this, even though when we're talking about love, we're talking about someone you love. This does not have to be a romantic love, although it could be. Fair enough? All right.
Fair.
So we cultivate love when we allow our most vulnerable and powerful selves to be deeply seen and known. When we honor the spiritual connection that grows from the offering with trust, respect, kindness, and affection. Love is not something that we give or get, it is something that we nurture and grow. A connection that can only be cultivated between two people when it exists within each one of them. We can only love others as much as we love ourselves. Shame, blame, disrespect, betrayal, and the withholding of affection damage the roots from which love grows. Love can only survive these injuries if they are acknowledged, healed, and rare.
Wow. Let's just take a moment of silence on that. That's just that. I love Brene Brown. Like, that is so powerful. And it speaks to what you said, Romy, in the beginning about love. The greatest love is loving yourself, like
Ourselves.
self love. That's where love begins. And then you can give it freely to others. But if you don't have it for yourself, how are you going to give it to others?
Gang, I spent hours,
Dang it.
hours dissecting this quote. Hours. Because there were certain aspects that I just wasn't sure about. Like, we can only love others as much as we love ourselves. Well, what does self-love even look like for me? That was the question that I was left with when I first even read this particular quote. But then there was also the part about it being an offering, right? And it's a connection. that it has to grow. I can't just throw out there that I love you and expect that this is true. So yeah, um, as far as
I want to
balancing
know.
to self-love,
No, you said you asked yourself the question. You ponder, what does self-love look like for you?
oh, it
Right?
was well, I didn't have an answer at the time, but I started looking at things that I was doing that actually made me feel good and actually felt in alignment with. So, for example, when I go out and cycle, that is me showing myself some love because
Mm,
I enjoy it so much and I get lost in it, right? And so I think the things that you can get lost in, those might be the things that are loving yourself. Like yesterday, I ran outside just so I could have a fire at nighttime and in the fire pit. And it turns out that it's not just the fire, it's the whole process of getting the wood and cutting the wood and building the fire with a specific technique, like all that stuff. Like the
right.
dogs are out there outside by the time it's time to go in at like 6. I've been out there since like 3:30, 3:45. And as it's getting close to 6, the dogs are by the door like, it's time to eat. Are you going to sit by this fire? Can we all go inside, please? But it's something that I get lost in. And so um, loving myself involves getting those things I'm lost in, but also stop doing the things that are damaging to myself, as far as the way I think about, like, we're the hardest on ourselves than we are on anybody else. For some of us, if we talk to somebody else the way we talk to ourselves, like, it would be like some
Yeah.
real stuff might happen. But we let
Mm,
ourselves off the hook because no one else is entitled to this conversation that you're having with yourself. And so therefore you can be as mean and nasty as you want to be. But
wow.
those are the things that are not loving yourself. So it's more of the things that do feel good, less of the things that make you feel bad, even when you were the source of the thing that makes you feel bad.
Yeah.
Mm,
I
yeah.
love that.
What
That's
that was beautiful, first of all. And thank you for sharing that quote. I love that. Who doesn't love uh
Brene Brown, like, who don't love her?
I was just about to say Renee. I'm like, that's not her name.
Yeah.
But so what does self-love look like for you then, Star? Because, you know, he brought up some good points of what self-love it resonated with me, but I'm sure we all have different perspectives of what self-love looks like.
the first thing comes to mind for me when it comes to self-love is grace. Giving myself grace, giving myself compassion, giving myself freedom just to be whatever that is naturally and organically and not being anything else without judgment. Because, like Coach Kyle said, we have a tendency to criticize. We're our worst critics. And so, not judging myself and not being so hard on myself and making sure that self-talk is loving. That's what self-love means for me. And for me, the most beautiful thing, like Kyle says, going outside, jumping on his bike, that's him loving himself. For me, travel is my love. Like, that's my love language, is travel. I get so excited and such a high when I am traveling. And I think it's because it's an adventure. It's an opportunity for me to go out and explore and meet new people, experience new things, watch a sunrise, watch a sunset, hike to a waterfall, going to the beach and just being a beach bum. These are things that I absolutely love. And I do believe that stem from being a kid. I was such a tomboy as a kid. I used to love, my mom would try to get me to teach me how to cook, teach me how to sew and all those things. I was like, no, I want to go outside. I want to go with my white cousins. And I want to go in the woods and I want to go explore. I want to go climb trees and jump off houses. Like, that was me as a kid. But of course, they tell little girls, you should play with dolls. You should cook. You should sew. You should do those things. And I was the opposite. I was like, I don't want to do none of that. I want to do
You're
these
like
things.
Dora the Explorer.
Yes, Dorita.
Yeah,
Dorita.
right.
And I do believe that that journey, going on a journey to me is just beautiful. Just the unknown and being
Ah,
open to what I receive in exchange is the ultimate. And that just goes back to just grace.
wow, that's beautiful.
All right,
So
Romy,
beautiful.
now it's your turn.
Yes.
Well,
Selfless.
I thought if I asked the question, that was it.
Yeah.
So,
Not how this work. In the
um,
Justice League. That's not how this work.
right. As she drinks her bad bitch
Bad.
tea.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
I think what Star was saying in terms of that she had said, essentially it all boils down to doing things that we love, right? And so for me, that self-talk, though, I think that's where she said something about self-talk, and that's what it is like she said, we are our worst critics or our best critics. I don't know, right?
Yep.
So we're really good at it, though, right? So, well, it's that self-talk without even realizing it, right? I mean, and it doesn't have to be extreme where it's like, I'm the biggest idiot in the world. It's just that self-talk of like those like small whispers of I'm not enough, and it doesn't even have to be the words I'm not enough, but it's something that essentially boils down to us not being enough or
Yep.
not being smart enough or worth it or whatever the case is. So I think people think like self-talk is, or this negative self-talk always has to be so extreme of, like you're the biggest idiot I know. It's not even that. It's just these small whispers that basically just are letting us know that we didn't get it right or we're not enough, or it's just these little whispers that just carry throughout the day. And it's just that sometimes it's just that one thing that it will carry through the day, through the week, through the month, and so, and then it's your life, right? So for me, it's just really being mindful of the stuff that the thoughts that come in my head, and then shifting that to say, nope, I'm not going to receive that, or that's silly, and then just keep it moving. And it's really just being intentional, just of does that thought serve me, and so that self love of really just being kind to myself, just really, really just being mindful and being kind to myself. And again, it doesn't mean that I have to go and be like, oh, I'm the greatest in the world, and I am the greatest in the world, and so are y'all, right? But
Right,
it
right,
doesn't have
right.
just when a thought comes in of saying like, I'm not going to get this done, be like, you know what, stop it. You'll get this done, and just keep it moving.
Absolutely. And I think that's a habit that we have to cultivate on a daily basis. Like I
Yes.
listen to 5-minute positive affirmation every single morning because I want that in my subconscious because the
Awesome.
subconscious is working, if not more powerful than the conscious is working for
Yep.
us. And so when you spoke about what you just said, it made me think about imposter syndrome that,
Mhm.
in life, in love, in business, in career, in everything, we sometimes have a tendency to feel like, am I good enough?
Yes.
And having the feeling, I feel like this is a topic for another podcast, is that feeling of worthiness.
Mhm.
Having that feeling of worthiness that I am enough. I can do this. I am worthy. That is something I think is very important to with that self-talk, with that feeling and having that connection and cultivating that feeling because somewhere down the line you may have been told that and that's in your subconscious and you feel that and it comes out because we're attracting the subconscious as well. And so it's important to have a feeling of self-love and self-worth.
Yes, that's beautiful. So beautiful.
I almost feel like we might need to do something about the subconscious in the future. And the reason why is because like I'm hearing you speak and I'm like, you're reminding me of things that like I already knew, but I go through these periods where I super focus on those types of things to have my subconscious work in the background. And then things
Mhm.
start working out a certain kind of way. And then it's like I drift away from even realizing that my subconscious is at play. So I go from being
Yeah.
hyper focused on it to be not aware of it at all. And
Yeah.
so, how often, and it's like when things start getting messy, Next thing you know, I'm back to paying attention to my subconscious.
Yeah. It's a practice. It should become a ritual, something that you do. Like the Bible, we talked about the Bible. Listen, we got to renew our minds daily. It's a reason that's in there. Like, and sometimes we get like, oh, I'm good. Like, life's good, everything good. And soon as something hits you, boo, boo, you be like, right. It's like you have to have a daily ritual. I don't care how good your life, because we have a tendency to
Yes.
want to focus on the subconscious and focus on things that we need to work on when things aren't going well. Because we're like, well, what am I? No, even when things are going good in your life, remind yourself you're that bitch, you're that dude, you're that queen,
Yeah.
you're that king. You were born for this. You have a purpose. God has a plan. You are enough. Period.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah.
My bad dish.
Oh, give me the tea. Okay. Oh,
Are we,
I'm
are we ready for the
Monthly
rapid fire
subscription.
round? Are we ready?
It's got to be great segues
Yes, let's do the rapid fire.
into the rapid fire round. I think I done dropped 2 or 3 quotes. So, and Kyle, that love quote. Thank you, sir. Gems.
You're welcome.
Dropping gem.
Every now and then I come
Yeah.
up with a good one.
Yes, Romy. Yes, we love that. All right, Romy, you ready?
I guess, sure.
Yes, listo. How do you let your soul glow?
How do I let my soul glow? So for me, it's just being my true self. I was always stuck on what others thought of me. And so, and doing things where or being the person that I thought others wanted me to be. So for me, it's just being my true self, just my authentic self. Because when I'm being my true self, I know that I'm in alignment, and we've said alignment so many times. So I feel like the podcast needs to change the title to like something with alignment. But
Absolutely.
or we need to have another podcast on alignment, right? So also with the subconscious stuff too. But all to say, yes, it's being my true self. Because again, when you're being your true self, that is when you are in alignment.
I love that. That answer, believe it or not, I would say 90% of our guests, that is the answer. And that's honestly my answer too. So yeah, that's how I let my soul glow, as being who I am. I love that. I love
That's
that.
awesome.
What's your favorite quote and why?
My favorite quote is by the legend Dr. Wayne Dyer, and rest in peace
Ooh,
to
way to
him.
do this work.
And the quote is, if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at change. And so, like Star had said earlier, all the mindset, right? So if we want to see beauty in the world, we're gonna have to change our thoughts to be beautiful, right? If
Yes.
our perspective is based on our thoughts. And so if I can talk to Kyle tomorrow and he can tell me about the war that's going on, or whatever or whatever's going on in the world. And I don't even know, to be honest with you, because I don't get fixated on the news. And my perspective could be completely different, but it's because of the thoughts. And so if you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at will change. It's that simple.
Wow.
I love that. That's definitely going in my quote collection, because I collect quotes.
Oh, nice.
Last
And
but
you
not
don't
least,
recycle. You collect them and you don't recycle those. That's like
yeah.
amazing.
If you did a soul search, what's one lesson you learned that transformed your life?
I think the biggest lesson I learned, or one of the biggest lessons I learned, is to believe in yourself. No matter what the external circumstances show you, because I think we get stuck and we have a dream, right? And if it's not unfolding the way we want it to unfold, we start thinking that it's not going to happen. And so it's just having that strong belief in yourself. I told the sister, I'm going to, or you all know this, I'm doing some more speaking engagements, and I actually have one in Atlanta in April.
Nice.
And so I think starting rep. And so, the story, my my speaking engagement, or my speech, if you will, is called "How I Replaced Kobe Bryant," and it really talks about believing in yourself. And so, just having that strong belief of as long as you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter what anyone else says. You can accomplish whatever it is that you want to accomplish. I solely believe that, because if you're relying on others on their beliefs of you, you're going to be in trouble because you take
Yeah.
yourself everywhere you go. So it's really just having that strong belief in yourself and just going with it. Always staying true
Yeah.
to yourself.
I absolutely love that. I'm like, wait a minute, how do you replace
I
Kobe
want to hear the
Bryant?
speech, first of all. Like, how did you replace,
Right.
like,
going.
where'd that come
Yeah.
from?
Well, it started off when I was in college, or actually it started off as a young girl, and so it started off as a young girl, and I'm just giving you a little
Yeah.
little snippet of it because it's a thing. So, but eventually I went to play a Division I sport, and I played soccer in college, and so. It was when I was in college where I replaced Kobe Bryant. I can't tell you it because you guys have to bring me back, and I'll tell you the story of how I
Yeah.
replaced.
Not a
Yes,
problem.
that
Not a
means you're
problem.
coming back. You're
Yeah.
coming back.
Coming back.
Left us with the cliffhanger. This is a first.
Yes.
I know. We've
Yeah.
never been left with a
We've
cliffhanger
never had a
before.
cliffhanger before. So thank you, Romy.
This is perfect. You're welcome.
Yes. Yes.
Romy,
Well,
how
this
can
is
everyone find you? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I cut you off.
no. Go ahead.
I'm
You
over here
right.
trying
You
to do your
right.
job. I'm sorry. I shouldn't be. I really need to stay in my lane. I really need to stay
No,
in
we're
my lane.
good. We're good. How can the people find you? Yes.
Well, so I had social media, Instagram. My page is going to start this year. I get on these kits where I have social media that I'm like, I don't want it because I try to stay focused and driven, and so I'm trying to find that balance, y'all, of like, having social media. And it's not because I'll be that one that does this, but I'm like, I don't need social media. So I'm trying to shift that mindset of like, it's there to help, and it's to use how it serves you, So
Yeah.
I will have my page up and running, especially because I'm doing some more speaking engagements. So I need to have that up and running. So you'll find me on Instagram. I'll let you know how in the next podcast. So for a while, sorry.
Thank
The first, like,
Right.
people find you, they cannot.
They cannot. And you will not be able to connect with me. And that what you get
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
To the right people.
That makes this like
Yeah.
it's not exactly an exclusive, but it's as close to exclusive as we're gonna get.
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Exactly.
I am honored, and we are blessed that you came on to
Absolutely.
share with us, to have this conversation, this transformational conversation with us. We appreciate it. The soul shifters appreciate it. What is one thing that you could take away from this podcast? I'm speaking to the audience, the Soul Shift Sessions audience. What is one thing that you could take away from this podcast today? Please make sure you put it in the comment section. And like I always say, if you know someone who can use a soul shift, please make sure you share this podcast and our podcast. We release new episodes every Wednesday, and we are here to have transformative conversations. If you would like to be a part of the show, please reach out to us to www.soulshiftsessions.com and join the conversation. Any final words, Coach Kyle?
Oh my God. This was such a good session, right? Because
They're so good. So juicy, as our mentor
so
says.
juicy, right? So juicy. I don't have any final words except that, it's a daily practice. And I think that if you practice daily, you'll be amazed how far you'll come in the balance department if you just practice it daily.
Yes. Slow and steady wins the race.
Slow, steady.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And with that, guys, remember to always let your soul glow. See you next time.
See you next time, gang.
Yeah.